Making smart choices with your smart devices. The Federal Trade Commission and the White House are introducing a cyber trust mark starting next year. The hope is to better inform us about the security and privacy protections of our devices and the retailers who sell them. And we're taking a closer look at whether it'll work with our friend, cybersecurity expert Dave Hatter of Intrust. Always good to see you, Dave. So
ditto, Sheila.
You always tell us how everything's spying on us, our devices, companies, apps. So is that what the basis of this cyber trust mark is?
Well, Sheila, it's less about the spying and more about the security. One of the things I think people really underestimate is when you buy a so-called smart device, Ring doorbell, Nest thermostat, whatever, smart TV, yeah, it certainly has the capability to spy on you if it has a camera and a microphone. But when you plug these things into your network, and especially with more people working from home and accessing their corporate networks from their home network, you're potentially introducing security vulnerabilities. And if you look at what they've laid out so far, and this thing is not finalized, but I do think it's long overdue, frankly, to give consumers some guidance. It basically really focuses in on how secure are these devices. And the good news is there's a lot of big companies that produce these things that have already basically said, we're going to get on board with this. It's kind of like the old Energy Star program for trying to know if a refrigerator or a TV or something is going to be energy efficient. It's a similar kind of concept, and I'm really happy to see it. But, looking forward to seeing the final requirements once they're released.
Well, for what we know right now, though, what kind of information will it give me when I buy a device or a product?
So it's a voluntary program, Sheila. Again, companies like Google that make these devices and others, Samsung and so forth, will volunteer to participate. And then there'll be a set of standards that the National Institute of Science and Technology is currently working on. But it'll do things like tell you, okay, does this device securely store information? Does it allow you to update the device? Because a big problem with these Internet of Things devices, you buy it, it's got software in it, you plug it in. Do you know how to update it if the vendor puts out a software update that fixes some critical vulnerability? So it's a lot of security-oriented things like that. I do hope, to your point, Sheila, they do address some of the privacy concerns too. Like, I think it should be a requirement that any one of these devices that has a camera and or microphone in it shows you when it's enabled, so you understand that you are potentially being recorded. That's not a requirement at this point. I actually am planning to submit that as a comment to NIST because, again, you may have something like a coffee maker sitting in your kitchen that's listening to you. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where we're at.
Right.
And, again, while what they've put out so far is really focused on the security, I'm hoping they address some of the privacy concerns too.
So you said earlier you think it's long overdue. I mean, we're looking at the government at least trying to do some things to protect us. But why would a company want to take part in this voluntary program?
Well, I think that's a good question, Sheila. Obviously, they don't have to, but I'm hoping that as consumers get increasingly wise, like lately, there's a big story recently where Ring and Amazon have been sued for $25 million for privacy violations related to their Ring doorbells. I think as consumers are starting to get wise to some of these concerns, whether it's security or privacy or both, if a company participates in this, they're showing you that their devices are at least meeting some basic standard and giving you some assurance that if you buy their device versus just some random thing you find online, you're going to probably have less problems and be exposed to less risk as a result. So, in my mind, it's a marketing incentive, again, kind of like the Energy Star thing. Do you want to buy the refrigerator that's less energy efficient or not? Well, here's at least some trusted standard you can use as a consumer to perhaps pick smarter, better devices. And then, again, the companies get to use that as marketing, so you're more likely to buy their device than the one that doesn't have it.
All right. Well, you already heard Dave say he's going to give his input on all of this. It doesn't take effect until next year, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it with you more as it develops. Dave, thank you.
My pleasure, Sheila. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you soon.
Sure, you can stop watching, but let's be honest, you want to know more. Tap the links or even better, click subscribe to stay in the know.